I'm Melissa Coons with Spine Press and Post.
And I'm Thomas A. Fowler. Today on Backbone Breakdown, we're going to be talking about the first books we read that were adult.
The first adult book that I started reading was around in 8th grade, and I actually started reading Robert Jordan's Eye of the World in his Wheel of Time series. And that kind of got me on a fantasy kick, so I started from there into the Spell Song Wars series, and from there made a hard leap into romance.
Nice. Mm-hmm. For me, the first major adult book that I read was Jurassic Park. And that's because I was at a movie theater, as one was that summer, and saw Jurassic Park in theaters, and it blew my mind. And I saw, based on the book by Michael Crichton, so this is where I date how old I am. I went straight from the movie theater in the mall to a Walden Books that was also in the mall, back when malls and bookstores were still relevant. And but anyway, I bought it and I just burned through it. And it was that first time I was able to start really seeing science and fiction really work together, and where you saw this just real close advancement of technology that's almost in existence. You could see elements of it there. But balancing that science and the fiction just blew my mind, and I loved how you had those moral debates about ethics. It took so long to think about whether they should, or whether or not they could, and they didn't stop to think if they should. That was the first one. Then segued into more literary, where I did Old Man and the Sea. It's one of the few books that we had to read in school that I actually really enjoyed, because like Great Gatsby, I still just did not enjoy as a kid. But I still to this day still read Hemingway every now and then. What's another one of yours?
Yeah, so with reading the Wheel of Time series, as I got to the fourth book in the series, I realized I was more invested in the relationships between the characters, and I didn't care so much about this dragon reborn and the Secret Society and the Rising Up and the Revolution. I didn't care so much about all of that. I cared more about who is Rand going to choose between the two women, and what are the political advantages for either one, and which one does he love. And that's when I realized I was reading the wrong genre. So I moved over to romance, and I found Marcia Canham, who does a fantastic series about Robin Hood and his family. So it's not even about Robin Hood. It's The Last Arrow was my favorite, and it's Robin Hood's younger sister, and she just kicks ass. And it was so awesome because I finally saw these strong female characters that didn't need a man to save them, or were very capable of it, and they needed more of a partner to help them achieve what they were achieving. And it's in this romance genre, which everyone makes so much fun of. But I loved it.
Yeah, nice. Another one for me was Peter Benchley's Jaws. Because, again, I was just on that kick where I would find out all these movies had these awesome books, and I was just on such a kick with Jaws, just because of the dialogue, the characters, the dynamics. So I wanted to learn more about it, so I read the books. And it was really cool because the book is significantly different in certain ways, in the sense of who lives, who dies. I won't get into it too much. But also it got a little bit more into the bureaucracy, in the sense that the small town, you find out a little bit more about why the mayor was so insistent on keeping the beaches open for financial reasons. In the book, you basically find out that there's actually a mob influence involved. And that's why he feels so much pressure and why he's so insistent. So it almost kind of informs that character and some of the smaller characters a little bit more. So that was really enjoyable. So
that's interesting. I didn't know that about.
Yeah, it's really good. And yeah, Hooper's a totally different character too. A lot more happens with him and Brody's wife. That's all I'm going to say.
Intrigue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot more than just the boat trip near the latter third. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, once I started getting into the romance genre, it opened up so many. And actually, one of my favorite books was given to me as a gag gift in high school from one of my friends, because she's like, "It's got a dreamy shirtless man on the cover," and it does. But but it actually had a really compelling story, and it took place in the Scottish Highlands.
Okay.
So it was my first Highlander romance, which then opened this whole door to where I'm like, men in kilts with swords.
Yes, the world's opened up.
It's just amazing now. And that was Lady of the Night. Night spelled K-N.
Oh, okay.
G-H-T.
Nice.
Yeah. And she was in disguise as a man because her family had been basically like wiped out her clan, had been wiped out by this other clan, and then she mistakenly falls in love with the rival clan like member, and so it brought in a lot of history that I wasn't expecting to get from a romance novel too, about like the clan relationships and what life was like in the 1700s when this took place in, you know, Scotland Highlands.
Nice.
And I actually learned a lot about it, and that kept me wanting to read more.
It's funny you said that, because another one of the big adult books that I read was Stephen E. Ambrose, who most people know him for Band of Brothers. He wrote the book that they based the whole HBO miniseries on. But the reason why I loved him so much is that he found this incredible blend of historical storytelling, but also like really diving into the people who were involved. So with Band of Brothers, he read all that, but that actually wasn't the book that I read when I was younger. I read that much a few years later. He also wrote a book about Lewis and Clark called Undaunted Courage. And so it looks into Lewis and Clark, and it really dives into some of the depression that they dealt with and the psychology that went into that whole trip. So it was really cool because you got to see this incredible balance between historical fact, but also embracing, like, almost like telling the story of them as characters, even though they were actually in existence. But he did it all with historical fact based around it. So it's this odd blend of incredible storytelling while also making sure that it's historical, like, education. So you learn so much more about what happened on that trip, you know, with Sacagawea, Lewis and Clark, and all that, and it goes into an incredible narrative. So Stephen E. Ambrose was one of the first adult books that I read that opened up that area that then went to like Black Hawk Down, Band of Brothers, where it's that historical storytelling along with actually getting invested in these people. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, be sure to comment, subscribe, and share it on out. Again, I'm Thomas A. Fowler from Spine Press and Post.
And I'm Melissa Coons. Until next time, get to writing.